So for the remote control boat, the user is looking for a little more robust joystick. He doesn't need a fine like a gaming joystick or a typical, handheld console gaming joystick. He needs something that's robust. And when you think robust, you usually go with something like this, which is a Sanwa type arcade digital stick. And remember, for the boat, we only need digital. We don't need analog. So this sort of thing is a good place to start. Now, a while ago, I bought a bunch of these because I wanted to convert these from digital to analog because my gaming folks typically are looking for analog sticks. There are analog arcade sticks out there, but I kind of wanted to roll my own, as I usually like doing. So what I'd found is these tear down really well. You can take them apart. It's got a big metal faceplate that can be removed. The ball could be removed. The stick could be removed. And these switches could be removed. So there's four micro switches around here that handle the four cardinal directions. Clickety, clickety, click. And for my analog idea, I didn't need that. In fact, I didn't want the sound. I didn't need the switches at all. So I found that I could take that whole board out. Well, this evolved into another idea, which is, well, how do I reuse these parts that I don't need but that are perfectly good? Well, this came into a different idea, which is a slider stick, and you can kind of imagine what I'm going for here. What I've done in this joystick is I have mounted that PCB switch assembly. So this is just the stock assembly. I didn't have to solder it or do anything. So that I could slip it into this enclosure that I made. And then I recreated the post, and there are a lot of measurements and other fun stuff so that it can then be controlled like this. So it allows me to have a sliding stick, so this does not tilt, it slides. And importantly, I could put a power chair type topper on top of this. So it is strong, it's clicky, but it's strong and it uses that sort of standard stick. And then if you look in here, this plus sign here, this is to prevent the stick from spinning. It's got a little bit of slop because it just has to, because it has to move around. But the idea here is this prevents it from spinning. That's undesired for a lot of slider joysticks. Folks don't want it spinning. They just want it moving in the cardinal directions they're pressing. Now, for the connection out, these arcade sticks use these 5-pin cables, which are very common. Normally, these will go to like fighter boards or other sorts of things. So I reused this and I cut it down and I soldered it to this DB9 female connector, which I have mounted in the bottom. So again, this is using the wiring scheme of the old Atari 2600, up, down, left, right, and a ground. And so that keeps it simple. So in effect, this is an Atari 2600 joystick. You could use it for that. It doesn't have the fire button, but the boat doesn't need the fire button. So this was a way for me to reuse an assembly that was perfectly good that I wasn't using for a different project and solve this problem at the same time. And everything kind of, after months and months of these things just sitting around doing nothing, it kind of all slipped into alignment where, oh, I need a digital joystick. Oh, I need it strong. Oh, it can be bigger. And all those things lined up. Let me pop the top off of here. Now, the outside here, this disc is what keeps it in place. And for strength, I was going to 3D print a part, but I thought, oh no, that's not going to be strong enough. So instead, I'm using a 5mm little rod. This one is about 40mm or 4 centimeters long. The little metal rod goes into this rubber assembly, and then that rod presses into that plastic. And the plastic I printed at 100% infill in PETG, so it's pretty strong. So if this breaks or whatnot, all this stuff can be torn down and replaced. So that's not a big deal. So what will happen with this, like I showed on the other boat video, is we'll have a DB9 connector, a cable, and one end will be plugged into there, and this will be on the user's chair so that he could drive his boat. And then the other end will go in the remote control, which could either be held by somebody or dangle or, you know, just be placed wherever. And again, I'm getting smaller cables here so that they're not as chunky as these. And you'll also notice I'm doing my usual thing, which is using removable cables, because cables break. As we all know, cables break, connectors break. So I'm a big proponent of removable cables, so that you could swap them out or change the length. That's another good one. You know, how many times do you have a 3 foot? You need 6, you get 3. So allow the user to have the ability to swap out the length of the cables is important. So that is the control part of it. Now what I have to do is I have to put these back together, hook them up, and then I got to fill up the tub so that I could put the boat in it, because the boat is a little hard to test. What it does is it has a sensor in it that it will only turn on when it's in water. So I can't bench test it. I actually have to put it into the bathtub and hope it works, which we will see. That will be an upcoming video. So the good thing is I've got the control box converted. I think I have at least a decent version 1 joystick here. And knowing that if we wanted to swap this out with like a cheapo Atari 2600 reproduction stick, we can. We go from there. So that's that. Next up will be filling up the tub, which I don't know if is going to happen today.